What's up, Barnhill family, and welcome back to your home for all things combat sports.
Yo, yo.
So, Nick, Alex Pereira is going to be making his first walk to the octagon as the champion. I'm excited to see him debut this Chuck Liddell haircut that he's got going on. He's been sparring some big boxing heavyweights. He looks like he's coming into this fight with a ton of confidence. So my question to you is, what does he need to do to walk out of the cage the champion as he walks into the cage the champion?
Well, before I give you that, the tough guy business is full of guys that look tough. But Poatan has come in and taken the top spot from everybody.
Yep.
There's nobody. And now with the Chuck Liddell haircut, he couldn't look any tougher. But I do really like this matchup, and I think Alex Pereira is coming in with a lot of confidence, which he needs, but he's well-deserved, and he's earned it the hard way. I mean, to beat Israel Adesanya, no matter where, in what sport, in what country, in what world, in what year you can, is a big feather in the cap. And this guy just seems to beat him and have his number no matter what skill set or what rule set they fight in. So this fight's very compelling to me, and I do think that Israel Adesanya was one of the greatest champions that the UFC's seen in a long period of time. But Alex Pereira has come and taken everything from him in a matter of, a couple of years? So this fight does stick out to me as a major fight for 2023. Now, Alex Pereira did win the last one. So what does he need to do? He needs to win more emphatically, right? He probably wants to finish him, but finish him more brutally. Maybe finish him earlier in the fight. And I think that's the key to Alex Pereira getting his hand raised. Obviously, he knows he's got Izzy's number and he can knock him out. But I feel like it's almost a game now. How much earlier can he knock Izzy out? Is he going to try to unload the tank early in the fight and get Izzy out of there in the first or second round to completely tarnish Izzy's career? Or is he going to wait till later in the fight like he did in the last one and sort of just bring it on and push the gas right towards the end when Izzy's seemingly tired and almost out of it? I think he's going to go with the first option. I think he's going to go out there and try to finish Izzy in the first or second round. And I feel like what he's trying to do now is not only beat Izzy, but tarnish his entire legacy and really mess with Izzy like for years to come, years after fighting's over. That's going to haunt Izzy. And I think that's exactly what Pereira's going to try to do.
Yeah, I think his keys to victory is he needs to come out and try to do what he did to Izzy even earlier. He's going to come into this fight with all the momentum, as we just saw with Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards. Kamaru was a step behind Leon from the beginning of that fight on. And why is that? Well, it's because he was brutally knocked out in the 5th round of their final fight. There's a lot of parallels between these two fights and these 4 fighters that are in discussion here. So I think what Alex should try to do is come out and remind Izzy who the big brother is. Come out and walk him down in the first round. Try to land that hook. Try to hurt him early. Because one thing we know about Adesanya, he's a very rhythmic fighter. When he gets into his rhythm and he finds his range, he does really well with those low disruptive leg kicks. He's got a crisp jab that lands flush every time he throws it. He times it really well, and he's super elusive. But if you come out and you don't let him get any space, you don't let him get any momentum, you don't allow the rhythmic fighter to get into the rhythm that he wants, that's where you can have some success. And Izzy may be just a step behind because he doesn't want to get finished again. I mean, this would be 4 losses in total to this guy now, 2 in kickboxing and 2 in MMA. So I don't think Izzy wants to be embarrassed yet again. And sometimes that can be a fighter's downfall. It can cause them to be hesitant. And when you're hesitant in fights against a fighter like Alex Pereira, it can be disastrous. So I think Alex needs to come out very aggressive and try to be the big bully that he was in that first fight, except do it sooner in the fight. The other is he needs to show Izzy that Izzy can't take him down anymore. He's had now 6 more months training with Glover Teixeira. I assume they've been working a lot of grappling because that was where Izzy did have a little bit of success. That was where he showed that he was the better fighter as far as wrestling is concerned and things of that nature. And it does look like Izzy's been working on his wrestling in this camp. So if Alex can show him, hey, you can't get me down, shuck that takedown and make him pay with a couple of shots over the top when he breaks the clinch or whatever it is that Izzy tries to throw at him, if he can land some shots and make him pay for the entry, I think that will also zap Israel's confidence a little bit and take one tool in his toolbox and put it to the side. So I think most important, come out aggressive and defend the takedowns, and this could be a night that is a great night for Alex Pereira.
Yeah, and one thing you can say about both of these fighters is every time we see them, you can tell there's a major evolution in their style of fighting and just their skill level. And I think that Alex Pereira's is a little bit easier to see because when you're so new to something, you can kind of jump up leaps and bounds. I mean, this is a crazy example, but think about Jake Paul. From the first time he stepped in a boxing ring until his most recent fight with Tommy Fury, the evolution between the fights was pretty massive. And I think the same can be said for Alex Pereira. I mean, we're watching him get better and better and better every time time. And it looks like he's just filling in all of these holes that he had as far as the realm of MMA goes. Everybody knew he could stand up and strike with anybody in the world, but now he's starting to understand the cage work. He's starting to understand the clinch that does exist in MMA, and now the groundwork. And I think he's going to be very difficult for Izzy to get down and hold down. And at that point, he's going to have Izzy looking for ways to stay perfect throughout the fight and try to strike with him, which is very difficult to do. One thing Alex did very well in the last time they fought was pin Izzy up against the cage and then have some striking situations take place. And that's ultimately where the fight did end in the last fight. So I think if he's able to pin Izzy up against the cage like he did last time, he's going to be able to find a lot of success there.
Yeah, closing the distance is going to be a big thing as well. And I believe the bodybuilders call what you just alluded to beginner gains. And it's actually crazy to talk about a UFC champion being a beginner. But in reality, as far as MMA is concerned, he is very much a beginner. And as far as grappling is concerned, same thing. So that's why you see those improvements by leaps and bounds. You know, you look at somebody like a Habib, who's just an all-star, superb grappler. He's going to be a little bit better each time he goes in there. Same with Islam, but it's not going to be so much so that it's just drastically noticeable because they're already at the top of their game. But for somebody who's new to grappling and new to the MMA rule set, you can see in a 6-month or a 9-month period of time astronomical gains. And so I think that Alex needs to show Izzy, hey, you took me down in the first fight. That door's closed. That's not happening again. And I'm going to be aggressive even more so than in the first fight. And I think the last thing that's a key to victory for Pereira is going to be closing that distance and pushing Izzy against the cage. He's the bigger, stronger guy. He has his better chance at winning this fight at a close range because that's where he lands those hooks. Izzy has a better chance at a more kickboxing distance range because he's so quick and elusive. And so closing the distance is going to be a big key for Alex here as well.
Agreed.